The time that I spent sort of under the surface in such rigorous introspection was really life-changing. It may sound ridiculous to some people, and I totally get that, but understanding Mochi's way of life, a dog's way of life basically, was like drinking a magical potion from some ancient sensei or wizard or whatever. One sip and I felt like I was him. I felt limitless. I was so inspired by his way of being that I finally saw and felt the kind of person that I personally wish to become. But at the same time, I saw and felt the gap between who I was and who I could be. I took a very honest and deep look into sort of my inner mirror. And I really have to admit, I didn't like what I saw. I mean, most of my time I have lived in fear, too afraid to pursue my creative or professional ambitions, too tied to people pleasing, or way too self-demanding perfectionist to start anything at all. But surprisingly, this whole experience felt like an antidote towards all of that bullshit. It wasn't discouraging at all. To the contrary, it was actually like seeing the David trapped inside the marble, like the David the statue. I know the statue is somewhere inside, and all I have to do is chip away what no longer serves me. Of course, this is easier said than done, but in general, this whole experience really worked its wonders. Once it sort of like clicked inside of my head, the following months were filled with nothing but euphoria. Despite me never actually leaving my hometown, I still felt like I was a new person. I changed from being the sad and also sort of bitter person to a much calmer and more centered version of myself. Also, the cold winter didn't seem so cold anymore. I actually started to like it, and I embraced it, just like those wannabe motivational people on Instagram. I started to develop more compassion and love for my life, just as it was. And somehow, it really showed throughout all of the aspects of my day-to-day. Living at my mom's place became fun again. My annoying commute to classes became front row seats for beautiful sunrises. And Frankfurt, the city I had learned to despise so much, felt like a second home once more. I got really nostalgic seeing the old places and people from back in the day. Honestly, it really touched my heart. But the cherry on top was reuniting with some of my best friends again. Everything was just so blissful. It was like a big, warm hug for my soul. Seems like a happy end, doesn't it? Well, not really. Because there was still one final boss fight that I had to master in order to fully wrap up this whole chapter of my story. And this chapter is called Ikarus. This is the part of the story where we get in touch with a lot of stupidity. One of the lessons I learned was to live fiercely, because every moment matters. But somewhere along the way, this attitude got corrupted. What began as a tool of love, slowly but surely developed into a weapon of self-destruction. I began chasing every moment, forcing, demanding, trying to squeeze out creativity, joy, meaning, and purpose in every single second of my life. But what made things actually really worse is that I picked up a habit that I actually wanted to chip away, but that always sort of like crawls up into my head, which is measuring my own worth against other people. Something my therapist always tells me not to do, but still manages to creep up inside of every single crack of my head. I lost focus. My patience evaporated. I became greedy with my process. And just when I thought I was flying the highest, high on life, high on euphoria, I got burned by the white sun. There was one more lesson that life and Mochi had for me. One that would be written in pain, sweat, and a lot of kilometers.
Make a video!